Monica woke up early that morning feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was her routine checkup at the hospital. She was 7 months pregnant now, and every visit felt important. She wanted to make sure her baby was healthy and growing well. Monica had always been careful during her pregnancy, eating right, taking her vitamins, and attending every appointment. But today a small knot of worry had formed in her stomach. She didn't know why, but something felt different. Her husband Derek had already left for work. He kissed her on the forehead before leaving, and reminded her to take the car because the hospital parking was free in the mornings. Monica appreciated his care. She got dressed carefully, picking out a soft, comfortable dress and a light scarf. She packed her hospital folder, double-checking her documents and appointment papers. She wanted everything to go smoothly today. When she arrived at the hospital, the lobby was busy. People were sitting in chairs, some scrolling on their phones, others chatting quietly. Monica smiled politely at the receptionist, who gave her a polite nod in return. She took a deep breath and walked toward the check-in counter. She felt a little self-conscious, adjusting her scarf, but she reminded herself that she was there for her baby, and that was all that mattered. After checking in, Monica was told to wait. She took a seat by the window, watching the city morning outside. Cars passed slowly, and a few pedestrians walked by with their coffee cups. The sunlight streamed in, warming the waiting area. She tried to relax, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Her phone buzzed in her bag. It was a text from Derek. "Hope everything goes well. Love you." She smiled and replied quickly, feeling a little lighter. Finally, her name was called. Monica stood up and followed the nurse down a quiet hallway. The walls were painted a soft blue, and there were framed pictures of smiling babies everywhere. It was meant to be comforting, but Monica's heart was beating faster with each step. She pushed the fear away and reminded herself that she was strong. She had been through checkups before, and she could do it again. The nurse opened a door and led Monica into the examination room. The room was small but clean. There was a bed covered in white paper, a few medical instruments neatly arranged, and a chair by the desk. Monica sat down, smoothing her dress, and waited. Soon the doctor entered. Dr. Harris was a tall man with a crisp white coat. His hair was neatly combed, and he wore glasses that made him look very serious. At first he smiled politely, but Monica noticed that the smile did not reach his eyes. There was a coldness there, a sharpness that made her uneasy. He asked her to describe how she had been feeling, and she answered honestly. She told him about the occasional back pain and the sleepless nights. She mentioned the healthy diet and vitamins she had been taking. She expected a gentle response, maybe a compliment for her efforts, but instead, Dr. Harris's expression shifted slightly. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Are you really following all the instructions? Some people don't seem capable of taking care of themselves properly." Monica felt her stomach tighten. His words were sharp and judgmental. She tried to stay calm, answering politely, "Yes, doctor, I have been careful." But she noticed the small smirk on his face, as if he doubted her completely. Monica tried to focus on the examination. Dr. Harris asked her to lie down on the bed. She followed his instructions, trying not to feel nervous. He began checking her vitals and asking more questions. Monica answered honestly, but the doctor continued making remarks that were unnecessary and demeaning. He questioned her lifestyle, her choices, and even her education in a way that made her feel embarrassed. She could hear the subtle comments he made under his breath, comments that seemed aimed at her background and appearance. Monica felt her cheeks grow hot. She wanted to respond, but she knew it could escalate the situation. She decided to stay quiet, focusing on breathing and keeping calm. She told herself that the most important thing was her baby's health. That thought gave her a little strength. While Monica tried to remain composed, she noticed the other staff in the room acting awkward. The nurse avoided eye contact, and a medical assistant lingered near the door, pretending to organize some papers. It was clear that everyone knew the doctor's behavior was harsh, but no one intervened. Monica felt a little isolated. She realized she had to stay calm and handle this quietly. Meanwhile, Derek was waiting outside. He had a feeling something wasn't right. Even though he had been busy with work emails, his mind kept drifting back to Monica. He remembered the last appointment when she had come home smiling. This time he had a strange feeling that she might be upset. He put down his phone and called the receptionist quietly, asking if everything was okay. She smiled politely but didn't give any real information. Derek's concern grew. He decided to wait patiently, trusting that Monica would come out soon. Back in the room, Dr. Harris continued his examination. He asked Monica personal questions, some of which were unnecessary. His tone was cold, his questions pointed, and his body language showed judgment. Monica tried to answer politely, but every question seemed to carry a hidden insult. She felt humiliated and small. The room seemed to close in around her. Her heart raced and her hands shook slightly. She thought about Derek, wishing he was there with her. She imagined him standing in the room, speaking up, defending her. That thought gave her a small sense of comfort. Monica reminded herself to stay composed and to focus only on what was necessary, her health and her baby's health. She took deep breaths, trying to calm the anxiety rising inside her. Dr. Harris made a remark about her background again, implying she might not understand how to take care of herself properly. Monica's hands tightened into fists, but she didn't say anything. She simply nodded and continued answering his questions. She felt a mixture of anger and sadness, but knew she had to stay strong. Finally, the examination ended. Dr. Harris wrote some notes on his clipboard and gave Monica a brief, cold smile. He didn't offer any reassurance or praise. Monica felt a heavy weight on her shoulders as she got up from the bed. She collected her things and walked toward the door, holding back tears. She didn't want to cry in front of the staff. She felt embarrassed, but she also felt a quiet determination forming inside her. She would not let this experience break her spirit. As Monica left the room, the nurse gave her a small, awkward smile. Monica returned a polite smile, but didn't speak. She walked down the hallway, her steps measured. She felt a strange mix of relief and lingering discomfort. The hospital lobby looked the same as before, but she felt different. Something had changed in her confidence, but she also felt a growing anger toward the injustice she had experienced. Outside the examination area, Derek noticed Monica approaching. He could see something was wrong immediately. Her expression was tense and her shoulders were slightly slumped. He put down his phone and opened his arms. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. Monica shook her head, tears threatening to fall. She could feel the love and support from him immediately. Derek's presence gave her a sense of strength she hadn't realized she needed. Monica told him quietly about the doctor's behavior. She explained how he had made her feel small, judged, and humiliated. Derek listened carefully, his eyes narrowing slightly with concern. He held her hand and reassured her that he would make sure this situation was addressed. He told her that she had nothing to be ashamed of, and that he was proud of her for staying calm. As they walked toward the exit, Monica felt a flicker of hope. She knew that Derek would handle this situation, and that gave her a sense of security. Even though the morning had been difficult, she realized that the experience had also shown her something important. She was not alone. Derek's support reminded her that even in moments of humiliation, strength could be found in those who truly cared about her. By the time they reached the car, Monica's tension had eased slightly. She still felt the sting of what had happened, but she also felt empowered by the presence of her husband. Derek promised her that he would speak with the hospital administration and make sure the doctor's behavior was addressed. Monica nodded, feeling a mix of relief and curiosity about what would happen next. As they drove away from the hospital, Monica looked out the window at the passing city streets. She reflected on the strange mix of emotions she felt: sadness, embarrassment, anger, but also a growing determination. She knew that her story did not end here. Something significant was about to happen, and she felt a quiet sense of anticipation. Derek's support gave her the courage to face whatever came next. The morning sunlight bathed the car in warmth. Monica reached over and held Derek's hand, squeezing it gently. She realized that together they could handle anything. The experience at the hospital, though humiliating, had revealed the strength in their partnership. Monica felt a sense of gratitude for Derek, knowing that his presence would change everything that was about to unfold. Little did they know, the next 15 minutes would bring a turn of events that neither of them expected. The humiliation Monica felt in that hospital room was about to meet an unexpected force: Derek's determination. And in that moment, a quiet storm of justice was beginning to form. Monica and Derek sat in the car for a moment, letting the tension of the hospital fade slightly. Monica's hands were still shaking and her chest felt tight. She kept replaying the doctor's words in her mind, The judgmental tone, the cold smirk, and the way the room had felt suffocating. Derek reached over and held her hand firmly, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "We will fix this," he said quietly, and Monica drew a small measure of comfort from his words. After a deep breath, Monica told him more details of what had happened. She explained how Dr. Harris had made comments about her ability to care for herself and her baby. She spoke of the subtle insults, the dismissive tone, and how she had felt humiliated in front of the nurse and assistant. Each word made Derek's jaw tighten. He could see how much Monica had tried to remain calm, and he felt proud of her strength but angry at the injustice she had faced. Derek started thinking about the best way to handle the situation. He knew he needed to act carefully but decisively. He didn't want to create more trouble for Monica, but he also knew the doctor's behavior could not be ignored. Derek's mind raced as he considered the options. He could speak with the receptionist, request the manager, or go higher to ensure accountability. Whatever he chose, he knew it had to be done quickly. "Let's go back inside," Derek said after a moment. Monica looked at him surprised. "Are you sure?" she asked. "I just want to go home." Derek shook his head gently. "No, this isn't just about us. It's about making sure no one else has to go through this. I want to handle it now while it's fresh." Monica hesitated for a moment but nodded. She trusted Derek. She knew he could navigate the situation calmly without creating unnecessary conflict. They walked back into the hospital together. Derek approached the front desk and greeted the receptionist politely. "Excuse me," he said. "I need to speak with the hospital manager regarding an incident that just occurred in the obstetrics department." The receptionist glanced at Monica and then back at Derek. She hesitated, clearly unsure how to respond. Derek maintained his calm, authoritative tone. "It's important, and I would appreciate it if you could connect me to the manager immediately." A few minutes later, the hospital manager arrived. She was a woman in her 40s, professional and composed. She smiled politely at Monica and Derek, but Derek could tell she took the situation seriously. He explained what had happened, detailing Dr. Harris's behavior during Monica's examination. He focused on the facts, describing the humiliating comments and the disrespectful tone, and emphasized that it was both unprofessional and discriminatory. The manager listened carefully, taking notes as Derek spoke. She asked a few clarifying questions, and Derek answered them clearly and calmly. Monica watched from the side, feeling a growing sense of hope. She had felt powerless moments ago, but Derek's calm determination gave her strength. For the first time, she felt that someone was truly advocating for her, standing up for her dignity. Derek then asked if the hospital had any internal review processes for such incidents. The manager explained that there was a standard procedure, reviewing the doctor's conduct, checking patient complaints, and sometimes using security footage to confirm events. Derek requested that this process begin immediately. He also made it clear that he wanted the situation addressed fairly and that Monica's privacy and well-being should be a priority. The manager nodded, impressed by Derek's clear and composed approach. She promised to review the incident and take appropriate action. Derek did not leave it at that. He asked that the doctor be called in for a discussion, so that the matter could be addressed directly. The manager agreed to arrange it, realizing that Derek was serious and would not accept delays. While waiting, Monica reflected on how different this moment felt compared to the earlier examination. She had felt small and embarrassed, isolated and judged. Now with Derek taking charge, she felt supported and valued. Her confidence began to return, though a mix of nervousness and anticipation lingered. She knew this confrontation could go in many directions, but she trusted Derek's judgment. Meanwhile, the hospital staff were becoming aware of the situation. A few nurses whispered to one another about what had happened. Some staff who had been quiet during Monica's examination now seemed relieved that someone was finally addressing the issue. Monica noticed the subtle change in the atmosphere. People were paying attention. She felt a mixture of relief and quiet pride that Derek was handling this so effectively. Finally, Dr. Harris was called into the manager's office. He walked in looking surprised to see Derek waiting there. His usual confident demeanor seemed slightly shaken. The manager introduced Derek and explained that he had a complaint regarding the examination that had just taken place. Dr. Harris looked at Monica briefly, then back at Derek. Unsure of what to say, Derek spoke first calmly and firmly. He described the incident, recounting the humiliating and unnecessary remarks made by the doctor. He explained how Monica had felt embarrassed and disrespected. Derek's tone was steady, showing neither anger nor fear, but it was clear he expected accountability. He emphasized that the behavior was unacceptable and could not be ignored. Dr. Harris tried to defend himself, muttering that he had only been performing his duties, but Derek remained composed. He countered each excuse politely but firmly, highlighting the inappropriate and discriminatory nature of the remarks. The manager listened closely, taking detailed notes. It was clear that Derek's calm authority was making an impression. Monica watched from the corner of the office, her heart pounding. She could not believe how quickly the situation had escalated from humiliation to serious attention. Derek's words were measured, persuasive, and respectful, and they left little room for dismissal. For the first time that morning, Monica felt that justice was within reach. After a few minutes of discussion, the manager confirmed that the hospital would take immediate steps to address the situation. She said they would review security footage, speak to witnesses, and formally reprimand the doctor if necessary. Derek requested that Monica's experience be taken seriously and that the outcome be communicated to them both. The manager agreed, assuring them that the hospital did not tolerate such behavior. As the meeting concluded, Derek turned to Monica and gave her a reassuring smile. "You did nothing wrong," he said softly. "This is about accountability, not you. We are making sure your voice is heard, and that the hospital knows this behavior is not acceptable." Monica felt tears welling up, but this time they were tears of relief and gratitude. She reached out and held Derek's hand, feeling a deep sense of support and security. Walking out of the office, Monica felt lighter. The tension that had weighed on her all morning began to lift. Derek stayed by her side, explaining what had just happened and how the hospital had promised to take immediate action. Monica listened, absorbing every word, and felt empowered by the presence of her husband. She realized that even small acts of advocacy, when done thoughtfully and calmly, could create meaningful change. Outside the office, the lobby seemed different now. Monica noticed people giving her polite smiles, and she sensed a newfound respect in the air. The experience had been humiliating at first, but it had also revealed something important. There were people willing to stand up for what was right, and there were ways to handle injustice with dignity and calm. Derek suggested that they take a short walk before leaving the hospital. Monica agreed, feeling the need to clear her mind and process the events. They walked slowly through the hospital garden, the sunlight warm on their faces. Birds chirped in the trees and a gentle breeze carried the faint scent of flowers. Monica felt a sense of peace beginning to return, mixed with a quiet determination to face whatever came next. As they walked, Monica reflected on the morning. She realized how much strength she had drawn from Derek's support. She had felt powerless in that examination room, but now she understood the value of having someone who believed in her and stood by her side. She promised herself that she would carry this lesson forward, knowing that dignity and courage could be maintained even in difficult circumstances. Little did Monica and Derek know, the hospital administration was already moving quickly. Staff members were reviewing footage and the manager had begun speaking with witnesses. Dr. Harris's behavior would not go unnoticed. The humiliation Monica felt moments ago was being transformed into accountability, and the hospital was taking steps to ensure the situation would not repeat itself. By the time they reached the car, Monica felt a new sense of hope. She was still emotional, but the feelings were no longer only of fear and embarrassment. They had become a mix of relief, gratitude, and cautious optimism. Derek got into the driver's seat and Monica leaned back, closing her eyes for a moment. She felt the warmth of the sunlight and the comfort of Derek's presence. As they drove away from the hospital, Monica and Derek talked quietly. They discussed what had happened and what steps the hospital might take next. Monica realized that even a small window of support could turn an unfair and humiliating situation into an opportunity for change. Derek's calm and decisive action had already made a difference, and she knew that their efforts could help others in the future. By the time Monica and Derek returned to the hospital, the lobby seemed quieter. It was still mid-morning, but many of the earlier visitors had gone. The sunlight poured through the large glass windows, creating long shadows on the floor. Monica felt a mix of nervousness and hope as she walked beside Derek. She had been humiliated earlier, but now, with him by her side, she felt more empowered. They were escorted back to the manager's office. Derek remained calm, walking with purpose. Monica followed, holding her folder tightly to her chest. She knew what had happened earlier should not have occurred, and she felt a growing sense of determination that the doctor would be held accountable. She was tired of feeling small, and for the first time that morning she felt like someone was truly on her side. The hospital manager greeted them both, motioning for them to sit. She explained that the hospital had already begun reviewing the situation. Security footage from the examination room had been pulled, and several staff members were being asked for their observations. She emphasized that the hospital took patient complaints seriously, especially those involving disrespect or discrimination. Monica listened carefully, feeling a flicker of relief. The hospital was taking action, and her voice would be heard. Derek nodded appreciatively. "I'm glad you are addressing this quickly," he said. "It is important that this behavior does not continue, and that Monica feels respected and safe in your care." His tone was calm but firm, leaving no doubt that he expected follow-through. The manager assured him that they would handle the matter professionally, and that Dr. Harris would be spoken to immediately. Monica took a deep breath. It was strange to feel tension and relief at the same time. She remembered how small and embarrassed she had felt earlier, and she realized how much that feeling had lifted simply because Derek had taken charge. She felt a quiet sense of pride in him, and a renewed sense of her own strength. She knew that standing up for oneself often required courage and support, and today, both had come together. Soon, Dr. Harris was called into the office. He entered with his usual confident posture, but there was a slight hesitation in his step. Derek noticed it immediately. The doctor's eyes flicked to Monica briefly and then to Derek. He seemed uncertain about what to say. The hospital manager introduced the situation, explaining that there had been a complaint about his behavior during Monica's examination. She asked him to respond, giving him an opportunity to explain himself. Dr. Harris cleared his throat. "I was only performing my duties," he said in a firm tone. "I was asking questions to ensure the patient was taking care of herself properly. That is part of my responsibility." He looked around the room, meeting both Derek's and the manager's eyes. Derek listened carefully, remaining composed, and then responded. "Doctor," Derek began, "asking questions is part of your job, yes. But the way you spoke to Monica was humiliating and unnecessary. It went beyond professional guidance. It was disrespectful and discriminatory. Monica should not have left that room feeling small or embarrassed." Derek's voice was calm but carried authority. He did not shout or threaten, yet the words were firm and direct. Dr. Harris shifted uncomfortably. "I did not mean to humiliate her," he said quickly. "I was trying to ensure she followed medical advice. I did not intend any disrespect." Derek nodded, acknowledging the statement, but he did not let the conversation end there. "Intentions are not the only measure of professionalism," Derek explained. "The result matters too. Monica felt humiliated. That is real, and that is what must be addressed." The manager interjected, saying that the hospital would review the incident thoroughly. Security footage, staff observations, and patient feedback would all be considered. Dr. Harris would be given a chance to explain, but the hospital did not tolerate behavior that caused harm or distress to patients. Derek's presence ensured that the seriousness of the situation was clear. Monica watched quietly from her seat, her heart beating fast. She could feel the tension in the room. She had never expected such a rapid response when the incident first happened. The humiliation she had felt seemed to be transforming into accountability. Derek's calm and confident handling of the situation was making a real difference. She felt her respect for him grow even more, and a sense of hope began to replace the fear she had felt earlier. Dr. Harris seemed to realize that this was not a simple complaint he could dismiss. He tried to defend his actions further, but Derek responded with measured precision. "Doctor, it is important to understand that professionalism is not just about asking questions. It is about the tone, the manner, and the respect you show to every patient. Monica deserved respect, and she did not receive it." The manager nodded, noting Derek's words carefully. "We will ensure that this is addressed," she said firmly. "Dr. Harris, this is a reminder of the hospital's commitment to respect, dignity, and equality for all patients. Any future incidents will result in formal consequences." Dr. Harris listened, no longer trying to defend his behavior aggressively. He seemed to realize the gravity of the situation. Derek then asked about the next steps for Monica. He wanted to ensure that she would be comfortable returning to the hospital for future appointments. The manager explained that they would assign a different doctor if Monica preferred, and that they would provide any support necessary to restore her confidence. Monica felt a wave of relief wash over her. The hospital was not only holding the doctor accountable, but also taking steps to make her feel safe and valued. As the meeting continued, Derek calmly guided the conversation, ensuring that all details were clear and all concerns addressed. He spoke with clarity and focus, never losing his composure. Monica observed him closely, realizing how much difference a calm and collected presence could make in such situations. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for his advocacy. After about 15 minutes, the discussion began to conclude. The manager thanked Derek for bringing the situation to their attention and for remaining calm and professional. She assured both Derek and Monica that the hospital would follow through on all promises and that Dr. Harris's behavior would be formally addressed. The doctor himself was quiet now, nodding, understanding that he could not dismiss the complaint lightly. Monica felt a sense of relief and empowerment. The weight of humiliation that had pressed down on her earlier was beginning to lift. Derek reached over and held her hand gently. "You did nothing wrong," he whispered. "This is about accountability, not you. Today we made sure your dignity was respected." Monica squeezed his hand, tears welling up, but these were tears of relief, not shame. As they walked out of the office, Monica felt a change in herself. She realized that what had happened to her was unfair, but she also saw that action, calmness, and support could transform the situation. She had felt powerless in that examination room, but now she saw the power of standing up for oneself with the right support. Derek had been her strength, and together they had created change. The hospital lobby now seemed brighter and less intimidating. Monica noticed small changes. Staff were more attentive, some offering polite smiles as they passed. She realized that accountability could ripple outward, affecting not just one incident but the environment as a whole. The morning's events had turned from humiliation into a lesson about courage, presence, and support. Derek suggested that they take a short walk outside to clear their minds. Monica agreed. The hospital garden was peaceful, with birds singing and the sunlight warming the paved paths. She felt a sense of calm she had not experienced since the examination. Each step helped her process the morning. She reflected on how quickly the situation had shifted from distress to action, thanks to Derek's calm advocacy. As they walked, Monica thought about what she would tell her friends and family. She knew that sharing her experience could help others understand the importance of speaking up, having support, and seeking accountability. She also realized that even moments of fear and embarrassment could lead to empowerment when approached with clarity and courage. Derek walked beside her, gently guiding her steps. He did not try to rush the moment, allowing Monica to process everything in her own time. They spoke quietly about what had happened and what might happen next. Monica felt a renewed sense of hope. She knew the hospital would act, and she trusted Derek to ensure that justice was seen through. By the time they returned to the car, Monica felt lighter. She was still emotional, but it was a different kind of emotion, one of relief, empowerment, and gratitude. Derek helped her into the seat and then walked around to get in himself. As they drove away, Monica looked out at the passing city streets, reflecting on the morning's events. She realized that while she had felt humiliated and powerless before, the situation had changed because someone had stood up, acted thoughtfully, and demanded accountability. The next appointment might feel different, but Monica felt prepared now. She had seen firsthand how calm, determined advocacy could shift a situation and bring about respect and accountability. Derek's presence had changed everything, and as the sunlight warmed her face in the car, she felt the stirrings of hope that the rest of the day could be different, and that dignity could be restored. By the time Derek and Monica returned to the hospital for the follow-up discussion, a quiet tension had settled over the administrative offices. The staff knew that a serious complaint had been filed, and the hospital was taking swift action. Monica felt a mixture of anticipation and nervousness as she walked beside Derek. She trusted him, but she could not deny that she was anxious about what would happen next. They were led to a small conference room where Dr. Harris was already waiting. His posture was stiff and there was a noticeable unease in the way he stood. Monica's stomach fluttered with nervousness, but she reminded herself that Derek's calm presence had already made a difference. She focused on breathing and on the knowledge that she had done nothing wrong. The hospital manager entered with 2 other staff members. She explained that they had completed a preliminary review of the incident. Security footage had been examined, staff who had been present during the examination had been interviewed, and Monica's complaint had been fully documented. Derek and Monica listened carefully as the manager recounted the findings. The manager spoke clearly and professionally. Dr. Harris, after reviewing the evidence and speaking with witnesses, it is clear that your behavior during the examination was unprofessional. Monica was made to feel humiliated and disrespected. Your conduct violated the hospital's standards for patient care and dignity. Dr. Harris shifted in his seat, realizing that the situation was serious. Derek's voice remained calm as he addressed the doctor. Doctor, the words and tone you used were unnecessary and hurtful. Patients should always feel safe and respected in a hospital, especially when they are pregnant. Monica left the room feeling embarrassed and humiliated. That is what matters. That is what must be acknowledged and corrected. Monica watched quietly, feeling a sense of relief. Derek's words were steady, measured, and confident. She had never felt so supported. Every time she remembered the humiliation from earlier, she felt a little lighter knowing that action was being taken. She realized that standing up calmly and clearly could create real change. Dr. Harris looked down at the table, then back at Monica and Derek. I apologize for the way my words and tone were perceived, he said quietly. I did not intend to cause humiliation, but I understand that I did. I will reflect on my behavior and ensure it does not happen again. His voice lacked the earlier arrogance. It was a softer, more serious tone, acknowledging the impact of his actions. The manager nodded. We appreciate your acknowledgement, Dr. Harris. In addition, we will be providing further training on patient communication and sensitivity. The goal is to prevent situations like this in the future. Monica, we also want to ensure you feel supported. We can arrange for a different physician for future appointments if that would make you more comfortable. Monica felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had been anxious about returning to the hospital, worried about how Dr. Harris might react. But now the situation was being addressed seriously, and she felt a renewed sense of safety. Derek gently squeezed her hand and she smiled, feeling gratitude for his presence and for the way he had handled the situation. The manager continued, explaining that Dr. Harris would receive a formal written warning, and the incident would be included in his professional record. Derek listened carefully, nodding in agreement. This is important, he said. It ensures that accountability is real and that patients can trust that the hospital takes their dignity seriously. Monica realized that Derek's calm, firm approach had been crucial. Without his presence and measured advocacy, she might have left the hospital still feeling powerless. Now she felt empowered, not only for herself but also for other patients who might face similar situations. She recognized the strength that could be found in careful action and quiet determination. Dr. Harris spoke again, his tone serious. I understand. I will cooperate fully with any measures the hospital deems necessary. I want to ensure that all patients feel respected in my care. Derek nodded, satisfied that the doctor understood the gravity of the situation. Monica felt the tension in the room ease slightly. The confrontation had been difficult, but it was yielding results. The manager then addressed Monica directly. We want to make sure you feel supported, Monica. If at any point you feel uncomfortable with your care, please let us know. Your feedback is valued, and we want you to feel safe during your appointments. Monica nodded, her voice catching slightly. Thank you. I appreciate that. She felt validated in a way she had not during the earlier examination. Derek added, it's important that patients know they can speak up and be heard. Today shows that accountability can happen quickly if concerns are raised calmly and clearly. Monica's experience should not be ignored, and the hospital is now taking proper action. The manager smiled, acknowledging Derek's points. She appreciated the clarity and calmness he brought to the conversation. Monica reflected on the morning's events. She realized how much courage it took to stand quietly yet firmly for oneself. Derek's actions had shown her that change was possible, even in situations where one feels powerless. She felt gratitude for his support and a renewed sense of confidence in her own voice. After the discussion, the hospital staff began to implement the next steps. Dr. Harris would attend additional training sessions, the complaint would be formally documented, and Monica's future appointments would be scheduled with her comfort in mind. Monica felt a sense of relief knowing that the hospital was taking concrete steps to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. As they walked out of the office together, Derek continued to reassure Monica. "You handled yourself well. I am proud of you. This experience could have been very discouraging, but you stayed calm and dignified." Monica smiled, feeling the warmth of his words. She realized that while the humiliation had been difficult, the experience had also revealed the power of calm advocacy and thoughtful action. Outside the hospital, the sunlight was bright and the air felt fresh. Monica took a deep breath, letting the tension of the past hour melt away. Derek guided her gently toward the car, speaking quietly about what had happened and what the next steps would be. She felt a sense of closure forming. The immediate humiliation had been addressed, and there was a plan in place to ensure that her dignity was respected moving forward. Monica's mind wandered briefly to the future. She imagined herself attending her next appointments without fear, feeling confident and safe. She thought about other patients who might face similar challenges and realized that speaking up and having support could make a significant difference. She felt a sense of purpose, knowing that her experience could help others indirectly. Derek and Monica shared a quiet moment before getting into the car. He held her hand and said, "Today we saw that even small moments of courage and calm action can create meaningful change. You were strong, and together we made sure your voice was heard." Monica smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and relief. She realized that strength could be found not only in standing up for oneself, but also in having the right support beside you. As they drove away from the hospital, Monica reflected on the morning's events. What had begun as a humiliating experience had transformed into a story of accountability, justice, and empowerment. She felt a renewed sense of confidence and a deeper understanding of the importance of calm advocacy and thoughtful action. The day had been challenging, but it had also been transformative. Monica understood that dignity and respect were not automatically given. They sometimes had to be ensured through careful, calm action. Derek's presence had made all the difference, and together they had turned a difficult situation into a moment of meaningful change. By the time they reached home, Monica felt a sense of peace. The tension and humiliation had been replaced with relief, gratitude, and hope. She realized that even in moments of injustice, action and support could transform the outcome. The morning had been a lesson in patience, advocacy, and quiet strength. Monica knew that the story of today would stay with her, a reminder that standing up, speaking up, and having support could change situations that seemed unfair or impossible. She felt grateful for Derek, who had been calm, clear, and effective, and she felt empowered in a way she had never experienced before. As they entered their home, Monica felt the weight of the morning lift completely. She smiled at Derek and said softly, "Thank you. I couldn't have done this without you." Derek smiled back, holding her hand, and said, "We did this together. And this is only the beginning of making sure things are better for you and for others." Little did they know the ripple effect of this morning's actions would continue. The hospital would take its measures seriously, and Dr. Harris would reflect on his behavior. Monica's experience, though difficult, had become a catalyst for change. And with Derek by her side, she felt ready for whatever the future held. After leaving the hospital, Monica and Derek drove home in a quiet car. The morning had been tense, full of uncertainty, but the events had shifted dramatically. Monica's mind wandered over everything that had happened. She remembered the fear and humiliation she had felt in the examination room, and contrasted it with the calm and effective advocacy Derek had provided. It was a strange but uplifting mix of emotions. Derek reached over and held her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "You did great," he said softly. "I know it was hard, but you stayed strong, and now things will be different." Monica nodded, feeling a sense of gratitude and relief. She realized that the worst part of the experience, the feeling of powerlessness, had passed. Now she felt empowered, knowing that action and presence of mind could change outcomes. As they arrived home, Monica walked slowly up the steps, holding her husband's hand. She felt the warmth of the afternoon sun and noticed the gentle sway of the trees in the yard. It was a stark contrast to the cold, judgmental air of the hospital earlier. She took a deep breath, feeling comforted by the familiar surroundings and Derek's support. Inside, Monica prepared a small snack while Derek set down their bags. They sat together at the kitchen table, talking quietly about the morning. Derek asked her how she felt now, and she shared her lingering feelings of discomfort and relief. She admitted that she had been nervous about returning to the hospital, worried that Dr. Harris might respond angrily. Derek listened patiently, nodding, and reassured her that the hospital's response had already been decisive. Monica felt a deep sense of pride in both herself and her husband. The situation had started with fear, humiliation, and uncertainty, but it had transformed into a lesson about accountability and support. She realized that sometimes courage was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet, firm, and thoughtful. Derek had modeled that perfectly, and she had seen the impact firsthand. Over the next few days, Monica noticed subtle changes in her outlook. She felt more confident returning to appointments and more assured in speaking up when necessary. She also noticed how the hospital staff seemed to treat her differently after the incident had been addressed. The environment that once felt cold and unwelcoming now felt more professional and attentive. Monica felt a quiet sense of victory, not only for herself but for other patients who might benefit from these changes in policy and awareness. Derek remained by her side, offering constant support. He reminded her that standing up for herself did not mean being confrontational or aggressive. It meant being calm, clear, and assertive. Monica absorbed this lesson fully. She realized that advocacy could take many forms, and having a trusted person alongside her could make a world of difference. One evening, as they sat together on the couch, Monica reflected on the events in detail. She remembered the first moment she had felt humiliated, the subtle comments from Dr. Harris, and the oppressive silence in the room. She contrasted that with the way Derek had handled the situation, how he had spoken clearly, maintained calm authority, and ensured that the hospital took immediate action. The difference was striking. She understood that dignity and respect were not always automatic, but they could be preserved through careful action. Derek looked at Monica and smiled. "You know," he said, "this experience might have been unpleasant, but it showed us both something important. When someone is treated unfairly, action matters. Calm, thoughtful action can change the outcome completely." Monica nodded, realizing he was right. The morning's events had been a turning point, demonstrating that standing up for oneself, especially with support, could be transformative. In the following weeks, Monica attended her next appointments with a renewed sense of confidence. The hospital had assigned her a different doctor, someone warm and professional who made her feel comfortable. Each visit reinforced the lesson that she had learned. Respect and dignity were essential, and she had the right to expect them in every interaction. Monica also noticed subtle changes in her own mindset. She felt less fearful of judgment and more empowered to speak up when necessary. She understood that humiliation, though difficult, could become a catalyst for growth and awareness. Derek's calm guidance had been crucial, and she felt deeply grateful for his presence. One afternoon, as Monica rested on the couch, Derek brought her a cup of tea. They sat quietly, enjoying the soft sunlight filtering through the window. Monica thought about how quickly the situation had escalated from humiliation to accountability. The contrast between the fear she had felt in the hospital and the relief she now experienced was remarkable. She felt a quiet sense of strength that she had not felt before. The couple also reflected on the broader lesson of the experience. Monica realized that what had happened to her was not unique. Many people faced subtle discrimination or humiliation in professional settings. What made the difference was the presence of calm, clear advocacy and support. Derek had shown her the power of standing firm without aggression, and she understood that these lessons could be applied in many areas of life. Monica began sharing her experience with close friends and family. She did not dwell on the humiliation itself, but rather on the lessons learned, the importance of speaking up, the value of calm advocacy, and the impact of supportive presence. Friends who listened were inspired by her courage and the way Derek had helped ensure accountability. Monica felt that by sharing her story, she could help others recognize the power of quiet determination in the face of unfairness. As the weeks passed, Monica noticed how much she had grown from the experience. She felt more confident in advocating for herself, more aware of her own strength, and more capable of handling difficult situations. Derek's guidance and support had shown her that calm, thoughtful action could produce meaningful change. The hospital's response also demonstrated that institutions could correct behavior when concerns were raised responsibly and clearly. One morning, Monica reflected on the entire experience. She remembered the initial humiliation, the fear and the sense of isolation. Then she remembered Derek's presence, his calm words, and the way he guided the situation. Finally, she thought about the resolution, the hospital's accountability, Dr. Harris's acknowledgement, and the steps taken to prevent similar incidents. The sequence of events left her with a deep sense of gratitude and empowerment. Monica realized that the experience had transformed her understanding of courage and support. She learned that dignity could be preserved, even in moments of vulnerability when thoughtful action and the right support were present. Derek's role had been crucial, but she also recognized her own strength in remaining calm, composed, and truthful throughout the ordeal. As Monica's due date approached, she felt a renewed sense of confidence and peace. The hospital no longer felt intimidating, and she trusted that her voice and her rights would continue to be respected. She also understood that standing up for oneself could create ripple effects beyond the immediate situation. By taking action calmly and thoughtfully, she had influenced not only her experience but also the hospital environment as a whole. In the final moments of this chapter of their lives, Monica and Derek sat together reflecting quietly. They held hands, feeling the warmth of each other's presence. Monica felt a deep sense of gratitude for Derek's support, for the hospital's responsiveness, and for her own ability to face a difficult situation with dignity. She realized that even in moments of humiliation, change was possible, and empowerment could emerge from careful action and clear advocacy. The story ended on a note of quiet triumph. Monica had faced a humiliating experience, and had seen it transformed into a story of accountability, support, and personal growth. Derek's calm and steady presence had made all the difference, showing that advocacy did not need to be loud or aggressive to be effective. Together, they had navigated a difficult situation, ensuring that respect and dignity were restored. Monica felt ready for the future, confident that she could face challenges with grace, composure, and courage. She had learned that even in difficult circumstances, action mattered, support was essential, and personal strength could shine through. The experience would remain with her, not as a source of fear or embarrassment, but as a reminder of what could be achieved through calm advocacy and unwavering support. As they closed the chapter on this experience, Monica looked toward the coming months with hope and determination. She was ready to welcome her baby into a world where she felt empowered, supported, and respected. Derek remained her steadfast partner, and together they had turned a moment of humiliation into a story of courage, accountability, and triumph.